Welcome to Live Your Best Midlife. I'm your host, Jill Lewis. Join me for inspiring pep talks and expert interviews as we explore staying active, feeling great, and embracing midlife adventures. Whether you're an empty nester, a pickleball enthusiast, or just ready to rediscover your vibrant self, this podcast is for you. Let's make our mid-years our best years. Now, on to the show. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Live Your Best Midlife. I am your host, Jill Lewis, and I am thrilled to welcome Shannon Nelson, or as many of you may know her on Instagram, she is at Pinky Nell. Shannon is a retired TV and radio host, a proud boomer grandma with a little edge, and a woman who radiates joy and authenticity. She shares her life from golf games to grandkids, from her love of dogs to a really inspiring journey of over 5 years of sobriety with a vibrant energy that encourages women to embrace every season of life. So in this episode, we're going to be diving into what it means to truly enjoy the second half of life. Shannon's story is a powerful reminder that midlife and beyond can be filled with fun, connection, and endless possibilities. If you have been feeling like your best years are behind you, Shannon's infectious spirit might just change your mind. So I'm excited to get into it. Welcome, Shannon.
Thank you, Jill. Wow, that made me sound a lot better than I really am.
Well, tell everybody, how did you become a boomer grandma on Instagram?
Oh, well, it's funny. I was just talking to my oldest son about this. So I have three kids, and they're all kind of around 40 now. I had them really quickly. And my oldest son and his wife design Italian shoes and produce Italian shoes, and it's all done online. The marketing is done online. The shoes are actually created in Italy. Anyway, I was there a couple of years ago. Well, actually, it's a year and a bit ago, and they have a sandal, and it's called the Boomer Sandal. And my son said to me, Mom, you're a boomer. Maybe we should, and I wear the sandals. And he said, maybe we should get you to do just a quick ad, like it's user generated content kind of thing. And so, I said, of course. And so I did something very quickly. It was 30 seconds long. And they posted it on Facebook and Instagram and then sold a ton of shoes. So he said to me after that, you should really think about doing this. You should think about, creating your own channel and, just seeing what's out there for you. So I took him up on it. The first post I ever did was in response to the Sports Illustrated cover with Martha Stewart on it in a bathing suit. I felt I needed to respond to that. Anyway,
Yes.
and from there, and I never had any expectations. I never had a plan. I just started posting, little bits and pieces of my day. It was a very slow learning process for me because I'm not technologically savvy, but it was also a very interesting process. I knew very little about social media. I knew that I was kind of a lurker on Facebook and Instagram, but that was about it. So, the more I did it, the more traction I got. It resonated with a few people and then a few more people, and it's just grown from there, and it's been a riot.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. So when I was researching for this interview, you were in media before, obviously not social media, but
Right.
give us just a little bit of background on what you did before you were, Instagram famous.
Right. I did I did a combination of things that all benefit me in this social media thing. So for example, I'm very comfortable on camera. I worked in TV for 5 years on two different shows in Canada, where I was on camera. So I developed a level of, just kind of a relaxed vibe about being on camera. I did radio. I did a radio show, a one person show with no guests, just talking and talking and talking. Uh, for a few years, and so I'm very comfortable, articulating my feelings, probably to the great frustration of everybody that knows me well. And I've been a writer in my past. I wrote a book about golf a long time ago. Used to write a column for the local newspaper in Canada, and so all of these things together kind of made for a very high level of comfort on camera. And creating or telling stories, mapping them out. It all feels very second nature to me.
Oh, that's really cool. So
Yeah.
so you are a mother, obviously, you're a grandmother, you are retired now, and you spend your winters in California. Is that right?
So I'm a Canadian living in the USA right now.
Yes, very nice, very
It
nice.
is.
Okay.
I've got the best of both worlds, Jill. I live a dream life, really. I love golf. I took up golf when I was in my late 30s and was almost instantly hooked. And really, that's my raison d'etre, I'm afraid. It's a very shallow lifestyle, but I love it. And it's my kids all play golf. My brothers play golf.
Oh,
Um,
fun.
a great family sport, and it has driven my life for sure for the last 30 years because I'm down here. I'm in California. I play, 6 months of a year down here, and then the other 6 months up in Canada. So it's perfect.
It's literally perfect. I
Yes.
I love your golf content because I'm just getting back into the game. I took like, I don't know, a 20-year break, which I don't recommend, by the way, to anybody. It is not like riding a bike. You just don't hop back on. It's very
No,
difficult.
no. I feel
But
that way about taking a week off, Jill.
know,
Oh
it's
my God.
like life kind of took over and it does take a lot of hours out of your day. I mean, let's be honest, it is a very
Yeah.
time-consuming sport, but it is so fun. And if you can get a great group to play with, I mean, I just don't know what's any better. It really is fun. But for me, it was something that my husband wanted me to start playing again, and all our kids play. And it was like I was kind of the one that was left out of all of the fun. So once became snowbirds, we're on the opposite side of the country. We're in Florida in the winter. For us, it's just been great. So I really latch onto your golf content because I can tell like you've got game, girl, and I think that's really cool.
Oh, listen, I love the golf thing too. And actually when I first started posting on social media, somebody suggested to me, everybody says there's all these kind of rules and you should get a niche. And so I thought, well, maybe golf
Hmm.
niche, but there's so much more to life than golf. And so it's not all I do. In fact, it's probably a pretty small percentage, but it certainly colors every day for me in a big way. Like I played golf this morning. It was a competitive day. The social part of it, and you mentioned that, and I think it's really important if you're starting to play golf, find a group of like-minded men or women and start with them, and because that is one of the sort of unknown huge gifts about the game is I have this rich community of people who are crazy like I am for the game, and you're knowing what that's like now too, right?
Hmm.
And it just makes for such a full life. Like I know it sounds goofy to people who don't play. I'm sure tennis players are like that too, except it only takes an hour and a half. But
That's right. Well,
it
pickleball is my number one passion, and that takes about 10 minutes for per game. So,
yeah, I pickleball too. I can't play so much of it now because my hips are getting creaky. I'm
Mhm.
at that funny stage where things are just starting to kind of, bother me.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I was sitting at a lunch the other day after a round of golf, and I'm 69, and I was sitting with this gal who was 62, and she was not boasting, but talking with gratitude about how she's never felt better. She's 62 and she never felt better, and she doesn't know about these old people who don't feel great. And I said to her, yeah, well, just wait, honey, because in the last year, I think, where, the joints, and I've been very, active and athletic my whole life, but it's starting to, and my joints are starting to get a little tweaky and my knees are twingy, and it's not, I can't play golf 7 days a week like I used to now. I've cut it back to five. So
Oh man, the sacrifices that we
I
make,
know,
right?
I know.
Well,
It's
tell
true.
me, I am curious because obviously, you've got a lot of joy in your life. And I think that's what really attracts me to your account is that social media can, if you let it, you can get too many of the wrong accounts in your algorithm
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it can really bring you down. But you bring a lot of just fun and joy and also some levity, but what are some simple things that you do that just to bring joy into your everyday life? Obviously we talked about golf, but what just keeps you just smiling? Because I always feel like you're smiling all the time.
Well, I'm a pretty happy camper, and I always have been, despite the fact that I've been through some pretty tough times in my life. I've always had, and I think it's probably innate, the ability to believe that it's going to get better, and it always did. But I have a few things that I do for sure, and one of them, and I know this is going to sound corny, is I write a gratitude list every morning.
Mm.
Write it longhand because that pleases me. There's some tactile benefit to that for me. There's a little that happens in my brain when I do that. And it can get very repetitive. I'm loving my coffee every day. It's number one on the list right after waking up. But that for sure starts me off well. I do a lot of physical things to ensure optimal performance in a day, whether that means walking the dog or whatever. I try to eat well. I like treats too. I get lots and lots of exercise, although I'm not diverse enough in what I do. I walk and walk and walk because I walk the golf course. I walk my dog twice a day.
Amazing.
I try to stretch because everything hurts. I do a little bit of weight stuff, not enough, but I try to set myself up by and also hydrating,
Yes.
which I've never been a huge sort of person for that, but I quit drinking diet pop about 3 months ago. And
Wow, good for you.
well, I know, but I mean, it sounds crazy. I have a very addictive personality, but I love Diet Dr. Peppers. And, I might have a couple in a day. And it just got to the point where, I was thinking, well, that burning feeling going down the back of my throat, that's probably not a good thing. So I kicked that to the curb and found that I was really thirsty all the time. So I hydrate. I just try and do all the things physiologically, the things that are under my control that set me up to be in a good place. And if I'm feeling well physically, chances are I'm going to feel well emotionally as well.
Man, that's so true. I love that you say that because I think when people are kind of in a rut and they are feeling down, they just really don't realize how much, when you just treat your body with respect, how much just better you will immediately feel on the inside. So I'm glad you shared that.
Oh, no kidding. Like even things like having, a big dessert after dinner. I know that messes with my sleep. So I probably
Mm.
won't good night's sleep, right? If I don't get enough to drink, I'm probably, going to wake up with a bit of a headache. Those are all things that used to happen to me when I did drink alcohol. Um, for sure, you know how critical a good night's sleep is to your mood. So, I'm very mindful of doing what I can to get to feel as good as I can.
Yeah, I love that. So, what advice do you give to women who feel like isolated or really stuck in a rut? Because your persona, just you can just tell in the background of your videos you have, like you said, you're blessed, you've got this great life, but you can tell you have a great community around you.
I do.
Do you have any advice for women that are, in their 60s that are just kind of feeling like, "Ugh, is this it? Like, I'm just not feeling great."
Yeah. Well, I do. And I sometimes, well, actually, I often hear from them. I'll
Mhm.
occasionally do something that's heartfelt. And I hear from a lot of women my age whose kids have grown up, moved out. Maybe they don't live in the same town as them anymore. They don't have access to their grandkids. They're not working. And that can be a very isolating thing. For me, if I didn't play golf, I don't know what I'd do. But because I play golf, I have a rich community. I don't mean money wise, but just a
Right.
very diverse group of mostly women that I play with. I do have to play with my relatives, and they're mostly men. But it makes all the difference in the world. This community of mine where everybody is so supportive, and at this age there's far less kind of that nasty competition that what it was like way back when we used to compete with each other. Well, this is a very lift you up, environment. And golf isn't what everybody wants to do, but my advice would be to join a club or a group, whether it's a walking group or a hiking group or a solitaire group or a bridge or knitting or whatever it is, and start to kind of reach out to other people through that, because I for sure am not an island, and I am so dependent on my friendships, especially when I'm here in the desert, because my people aren't here. My family, I've got kids in Las Vegas and then in Vancouver, and they come down and visit, but I'm here a lot on my own. So that community is really important to me, and it doesn't happen overnight. I started coming here in 2011, and golf is a pretty good entry into a social group, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
People who are of like mind, like handicap, etc., and it kind of flows. But every year, those friendships get richer and more meaningful, and knowing that, man, it's just been it's pivotal to me being down here comfortably and happily. Is those
Yeah. It's funny. I remember my first, this is our third winter in Florida. And the first winter that I was down here, I remember being really nervous, kind of felt like a kindergartner again, coming out, going out to the pickleball courts and just kind of like, okay, I'm going to put my paddle in the little thing and hi, I'm Jill, and just meeting people. And the first year I was down here, it was just like, I was just say yes to everything, just if you get an invitation or if somebody asks you, you just say yes to everything. You may not meet your people the first year, but just, I don't know. I felt like I was just always, and then asking because I'm like, well, my mom and dad always told, people don't need you, like you need them, when you're new in the situation. And so you gotta be the one to
yeah,
ask, and that's all I did. I asked a girl that I had met that was real sweet, and I just said, "You're a golfer, right?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, she's like, "Are you trying to play?" And I said, "Yeah, I just." It's been a long time, but I'm new and I'm just trying to kind of figure it out. And she was just so sweet. And, oh, okay. Well, next time if we need a fourth, if one of ours can't play, you can sub in our group. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
well, it is so true. I mean, it took me, you just took me back to when I was first a member here and I was nervous about playing in anything. And, and I have a very kind of out there personality. So, so I'm not for everyone on the golf course, right? But I had a couple of gals who were kind enough to take me under their wing and tell me what I needed to play in and where I needed to be. And I joined the team right away, and it just evolves from there, and for me in such a positive way. I mean, I can't say enough, and I have the same group in Vancouver, so I've got these two wonderful groups of women, and I'm a single person, so that
Yeah.
that is important to me, because I can't just be talking to the dog and myself all the time.
That's right. That's right. Well, let's talk about your transition from work to retirement because I do know there's a lot of women that listen to this that are still working. And I have women asking me like, "Oh my gosh, about empty nesting and when the kids left." But I think it's important to also talk about when you move on from the career-minded to when you're not in charge of other things and you're not working. And what has that been like for you? Has it met
Well, it's
exceeded your
it's been
expectations?
Yeah, it's been interesting because even though I stopped working for a paycheck, I never stopped approaching life with that idea that who knows what's around the corner and what it might produce, right? Like I never saw myself as kind of officially retiring. Um, I mean, I get engrossed in projects and learn everything I can to learn about them and do them as much as I can. And then when I've had enough, I move on. I mean, this social media thing is about as long as I've ever done anything, let me tell you. But I'm still having fun with it. But one of the things I know is that, like I've always been a great believer in, and this is going to sound cocky, but it's not, in I can do anything I set my mind to. I mean, I can't be a rocket scientist, obviously, and I'm never going to be a scratch golfer, but there's so much to learn and do out there and so many ways to manifest all these things. And I'm just one of these people who, I'd give anything a shot. So, um, For me, I just never saw it as the end of that. Like
Mm-hmm.
is everything is possible.
Yeah.
And now, so now, I've got this substantial, well, for me, following on social media, and there have been, a few opportunities that have come up to make money. And it's not something that I've wanted to do, because I don't want to foist my, stuff on. I see my followers as my crew, right? And I
Right.
make, I don't want to be peddling stuff to them and whatnot, but it is interesting because it's out there, it's possible. I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah, so, I don't know, it's funny, I just never saw myself as finished in that
Mm-hmm.
regard. And still don't. And, the fact that at 68 years old, I started doing this, and, there's enough of a group of us out there feeling unrepresented that it kind of took off. That has been really cool.
It's no secret that my very favorite protein powder in the marketplace is Prime Protein. Why do I like it so much? Well, one, it tastes amazing. I am loving the chocolate and the iced coffee flavors. Those two are my favorites. But grass-fed protein is the new way. So why grass-fed beef over whey or any other plant-based protein powder? Well, beef protein is packed with the collagen, gelatin, and micronutrients that your body needs. They work to repair your joints and soft tissues like plant protein won't. And studies have shown that beef protein provides additional benefits to strength, hypertrophy, and fat loss over whey. Simply put, more beef protein equals faster workout recovery, all-day energy, feeling full for hours, and better skin, bone, and hair health. You can go to today's show notes for the link to order your Prime Protein and use the code JILL for 15% off your first order. So cool. I mean, I look at, someone like you. Do you see Brunch with Babs? I love her,
Yes, I love her.
she's so
Little man.
cute.
Because the other day she showed this video, and the video was all about, she was doing a video. She's got somebody doing those videos for her. That lucky gal. And and here I am with my, with my phone going, and here's what I think about this, right? And then I have to edit it, and like it's so lowbrow. But she's marvelous. And she and there's a whole bunch of them, you know, we've still got stuff to say.
I think
And
it's awesome. I love it so much. Yeah, but she now, Shannon, she's definitely making money. She's definitely
oh,
peddling her things. This is her
I know.
occupation. This is your little hobby. But yeah, you and I are schlepping our
Yeah.
cameras and we've
Yeah.
got our phone propped up and
I got my stand, and anyway, yes, very, very much that way. In fact, I was thinking the other day I should do a video about how I make a video. People would go, "Really? That's it?" I mean, that's all it looks like too. They're totally hokey. But there is something about that, Jill. I believe that's the authentic part. Is we don't
totally.
have any, we're just not that no, Babs is great, and I do enjoy her videos for sure.
Oh yeah.
But that's the authentic part of it. We're just out here, talking, sharing our stuff, and if it resonates,
Hmm. Exactly. You know, I do think it's really, I love how what you present, it's just, you are face to camera every time and it's you and it's, you need to go check her out, all my listeners, because you can tell like what the topic is going to be. And I've actually thought about that for my own social media. How you have the words over it. So when you go to your grid, you can really see where if I was going to share something with someone, I could go, oh, that was the one that was so funny. But anyway, I like how your grid looks. And I love just that it's just that face to camera every time. I know what to expect with you. And I know you're a straight shooter. It might be touching, it might be funny, but it's always real. And I think that's what people really gravitate towards.
well, you
Um,
saying,
yeah. And I love that sometimes you don't shy away from controversy either. You might say something that might tick some people off, but I kind of like that too. It's not all the time,
yeah.
but you might sprinkle it in.
Oh, yeah, and sometimes I'm a bit naughty, but I do it right. Oh, look, I can see my hair. It's already awful. I've been wearing a golf hat all day. Uh,
I
it's
left mine on.
yeah. I'm gonna get on. I was talking to Colleen Landry, who somebody you should also follow on here. She's hilarious, and she's been a mentor to me.
Oh,
And I saw being able to talk to her. And she said something this morning. She said, I feel like my videos are so simple and I should add something. And sometimes I feel that way too. It's like, but if you found something that works, I mean, why try to pretend that you're something that you're not? I mean, I'll try to occasionally intersperse a few visuals in, but I'm not a videographer or anything. Like I'm just I'm just doing my little thing here, and I don't know. I think simple is good. She's
I
great.
to-
You should
totally
call.
agree. Okay, what was her name again?
Her name is Colleen Landry, and she just does this wonderful thing about her inferior designer, and they're just little snippets. It's almost daily, and it's
I know who you're talking about. I
yeah,
do follow her. She is hysterical.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
She's
my
great,
gosh,
and
so
she's
funny.
so that's something else that has happened here for me because I have reached out. I've reached out to a few people with questions because it's really a great unsolved mystery to me, this whole social media landscape.
Sure.
And I've done a ton of research online, but I've reached out to people too, people who are doing it and are doing it well. And I have been so rewarded with lots of time and conversation and support by these people, and they're all women so far. I haven't reached out to any men, but that's a very cool thing about maybe this demo in this sort of place that we're in. It's everybody's just rooting for each other, and that's really fun.
That's amazing.
Mm.
So, we've been talking about all the fun stuff and the great stuff, but I know life is not always sunshine and roses. So, how do you stay positive and resilient through your life and, now into this
Well,
phase
you know what?
during
I-
challenging seasons?
yeah, and I have had some heartache for sure in my life. And my first marriage that lasted 15 years, I don't believe I've ever spoken to anybody about this, at least not publicly. When that marriage ended, I was utterly devastated.
Mm,
And I had three kids at home under my roof, and they were 12, 13, and 15, and it was a shock to everybody. And that was probably the low point of my life, and it took me, I don't know, oh God, took me many years to get over that, but I did, and I always knew I would, and I knew I would if I took the high road. And so I determined right at the outset, through everything else, I thought I'm going to take the high road here. There's no point stomping around being mad, or any of that kind of thing. And that worked for me. It took a long time, but it worked. Now I went on through a few boozy years to get married a couple more times, and that didn't work for me. But, I'd like to say here now that I'm on excellent terms with all of my exes. And now I really have nothing to complain about. So, but yeah, I did have some boozy years. Those were also
mhm,
at the time I didn't really think of them as such, but with through the lens of not being a drinker at all now, which was a very important change for me. I can see that my life was not nearly as happy, anxiety free, joyful as it is now. And I'm not an AA or anything like that,
mhm,
falling down drunk, alcoholic, but I had a problem.
mhm,
The booze that I drank was causing me to sleep poorly, feel anxiety, and just have this general malaise about me. And I didn't like that. Like, I like to be tip top every day. So I took the very bold step of quitting drinking. And that was hard because I was married to a man who drank at the time. And when I say drank, we would share a bottle of wine at night, but I always liked to have a big vodka before I had that bottle of wine. And it was enough to impact my life in a negative way. So when I quit, I wasn't ready for what a change it was going to mean. And the first few months were hard. I mean, I didn't have to go to rehab or go through withdrawal that I noticed, but it was a big change socially and a big change internally. And I can tell you that, now well, I think I'm 6 or 7 years sober. I can't even remember anymore. But man, I can't even imagine I can't even imagine it. I have absolutely zero desire to have a drink. My brothers were just staying with me to play golf, and they still like to, drink. And there's just not any part of me that wants to go back there or wants to feel crappy in the morning or any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That was big. That was a big change for me and an important change for me. I should never make light of that. It really was.
It's incredible. And I'm thinking, just, I know how it is here at my club. I'm assuming it's the same at your club.
It,
Everything is around any kind of golf
yeah,
social event. Alcohol is so prevalent. I mean, they're practically, now they're not pouring it down your throats, but they're doing everything but,
yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
how were you able to do that, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't mind you asking at all. And it is very much like that here too. But here's an interesting thing. I assumed that everybody was drinking like I was. And when I quit drinking, the rare time I ventured out in the evening to a social occasion, I realized that they weren't. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
still a lot of them are. And my really boozy friends, I just, I'd still play golf with them, but I didn't socialize with them at night because it gets pretty tedious after, a couple hours. Um, it meant a lot of nights at home. I can tell you that, Jill, because I just didn't feel like, going out, and I didn't want to do the same things. I mean, I would rather stay at home and read a book or, figure out some project. Um, you lose your evenings. I mean,
Yeah.
basically. So I would say, now I'm not a wildly social person in the evenings, although I do have poker tonight. But I do my socializing mostly in the day on the golf course, or I've got my dog walking crew, and that's good enough for me. I like to be home at night. I don't wanna go out. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it was some of my friends dropped by, like, I mean, dropped by the wayside.
Yes.
But, I was probably friends with them because we like to drink together anyway. So it was interesting. It was very interesting. And I will say proudly that my youngest son has also quit drinking. He quit a year after I did, although he was young. And that's been a real positive. Oh, there's my doggy. That's been a positive in his life. And none of my kids really are, you know, much on the sauce, which is,
Mm-hmm.
I hope and want to believe that maybe that has something to do with me. Um, doesn't matter. It's still a good thing. So it's interesting. There's a few sober gals on social media, and I think the younger generation, they just don't imbibe like we did. Well, like I did. They seem to be much more aware of the potential health risks, and I don't know. They're just smarter than we were. I think that might be the truth of it.
Yeah, I mean, well, I like kudos to you. I think that is incredible, and to kind of know, I think it's for people out there listening, like what my takeaway there is, like what that in the evening, like you're socializing during the day. It's not like you're a hermit. You're definitely getting out, but like you don't have to just go out at night to have fun.
No.
There's so many other things to do. It's kind of like what I talk to my clients about with food. You could sub, the alcohol for the food. I'm always saying like there's other ways to go out and be with people than being at going out to eat, or if that's like your trigger, or meeting people with food. There's like so many other ways that we can socialize. So it's just interesting to hear you say that. And one of my questions I actually had for you was about legacy. And I think, gosh, you've already answered that. That's really amazing. What an
Oh,
example that you've already set in your family, kind of changing gears, it sounds like, because from what it could have been, with you and one of your exes, to now a completely different way of life.
hmm. Well, I've thought about the legacy thing too, and I'm just kind of a fun gal, but my there's a great deal of passion in my family for golf, and not just the sport, but I believe that my grandkids, they know I'm into it. They know that I compete. They know that I won a club championship. I think that they will walk into my golf club in 30, 40, 50 years and see my name on a trophy. That to me feels like all the legacy I need. I,
So cool. That's
I know,
so cool.
but I
Trust
do
me, I know, because I
you
just
get it.
texted my kids my scorecard today, which was quite a bit higher than what yours normally is. And I was so proud. And I love seeing them be like, go, mom.
Yeah. Well, and so you think about it. For me, I've got lots of boys. I have a daughter. She also plays golf, and she's kick ass, let me tell you. But what else would I do with my sons? What else would I do with my brothers? And yet we play golf all over the place. In fact, a year from now, we're all going together to Ireland to play golf. And, that is just a kick. So I am there's that. I also believe that I believe in hope because I think this is who I think they'll see me as somebody who takes the high road, I hope, and
Mhm.
that helps me be a happier me. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, God, legacy, that's such a lofty word.
Isn't it? I
Yeah,
know.
it feels like a big responsibility.
No, I think you've answered it quite well. And already the things that you have done, I feel like you're already, laying that groundwork there. So that's really
Well,
cool.
I'll just add this one thing.
Yeah.
I believe, you don't ever have to stop. Like, if there's one thing I would say, it's that, I've never felt out of my league, even though I probably am. And you're never too old to just keep pushing it, learning new stuff, doing well, surprising people. Like this whole video thing, I'm sure has all my family just going, "What the huh? Who's listening to her?" And so it's immensely gratifying, be able to say, "Wow, here's my follower count, you idiots," but that's possible at any age for anyone, if you just kind of set your mind to it, believe you can do it, and then go do it. I had to play in a tournament once. This was for the club championship. It was the year I won, which was, spectacular. And my grandson, I think at the time was 7, and he's a hockey player. And I was going into the second day and I said to him, "Oh, I'm so nervous. I'm not really sure what I should do." And he goes, "Gang," because they call me Gang. He said, "Don't think, just do." And that's great. So I just went in there, emptied my head, and boom, there you go.
That's incredible. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I hope
It
you
was,
repeat that story to him. That's amazing.
oh, these poor kids, they're going to have no shortage of stories for me because they're all online. And, anyway, it's fun. Very
That's
fun.
really cool. Hey, so listen, if you could give advice to a woman who feels like maybe her best years have already happened, like the best years are behind her, what advice would you have for her? Or what would you
Well,
tell
I would
her?
say you're probably focusing on the wrong things.
Mhm.
Certainly the best years of my life from a physical point of view are behind me. And I have had to gradually accept that. My hips are creaky. When I sit down at the end of a very physical day, it takes me a few grunts and groans to get up again. I just got diagnosed with osteoporosis, which, isn't a lifestyle thing for me because I'm very active, but, things start to go south as you get older. So if you focused on that, then yeah, you'd be right. My best years are behind me. But the other side of that penny is bright, and that is that I don't give a flying, what people think of me anymore. I honest to God, I don't care. It's none of my business. And I don't really have any financial worries. I mean, I have a little bit of financial insecurity because I've been divorced 3 times, but it's not that I'm rich or anything, but I don't worry about that so much anymore because it only has to last me a few more years. There's that, and then there's that, just that kind of slowing down because I'm not working anymore. I mean, I've got a lot of things cooking, but man, I'm smelling the roses a whole lot more than I ever used to. Like for example, I've got hummingbird feeders all around, and I can't tell you the amount of satisfaction I get around those hummingbird feeders and watching them all. So that to me, those, small little things together comprise this very bright penny, which, maybe my physical side, my youth, my beauty, all of that stuff, my flexibility, that, yeah, my best years are behind me. But if I can find that much joy in those tiny things, well, that's a great gift.
Gosh, yes, 100%. I love that answer so much. And I hope you all are listening and and absorbing Shannon's wisdom. And I hope you go follow her on Instagram because she will really, she's just going to bring you some joy and some laughs. And she just makes so many good points where you're like, yeah, I love that. And just what a great storyteller you are, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate all the nice things you're saying. No one has ever used the words wisdom and Shannon in the same sentence
Oh, I
ever.
don't believe it at all. They just maybe haven't told you that. They're probably like,
No,
Shannon's giving us her probably most polite self right now. Okay, is what I'm probably the vibe I'm getting. But I
probably.
appreciate that. But I do the same, Shannon. You know, my friends probably would get on social media and go, "Well, if you only heard Jill yesterday."
There's a lot of that, but not everybody doesn't need to know everything about you. My mother
That's
said that.
right.
Okay, I get it.
Totally. And my mother listens to all this, so I can't use the four-letter words that I normally use in my
Well, I'm glad I can.
conversations.
My mom's listening from somewhere way far away, so get away with it. Oh, she had a problem with this one too. There's no need to swear, Shannon. It's crude. Didn't work.
I know, same. All right, Shannon, I appreciate you so much, and I will see you out on Instagram somewhere, okay?
Okay, and I'll see you too. Thanks so much, Jill. It's been
Okay, it
fun.
was fun. All right, I appreciate you.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to Live Your Best Midlife. If you enjoyed today's episode, please hit that follow button. And if you want to help more people discover my podcast, I'd be so grateful if you could take a moment to leave a rating and a review. Your feedback not only brightens my day, but it helps others to find my show. And if you're craving some more behind the scenes action, follow me on TikTok at Jill Lewis Living or on Instagram at Jill B. Lewis.